Great. Good morning, everyone online. We'll get started. Bonjour. Great song to start our Friday morning. Welcome, everybody, to NOHFC Unpacked. My name is Mélanie Dufresne. I'm your 2025-2026 Timmins Chamber President, coming to you from Timmins this morning, snowy Timmins. So please join me in taking a moment to reflect and recognize that we are on the traditional lands of the Matagami First Nation within Treaty 9 territory. As we gather today during Treaties Recognition Week, we honor the ongoing relationship between Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples and reaffirm our shared responsibilities under the treaty. As we explore pathways for investment and development through the NOHFC, let us also recognize the important role First Nations communities play in advancing sustainable economic opportunities and regional growth. Today's session, NOHFC Unpacked, is about helping businesses, municipalities, and organizations better understand the funding opportunities available through the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund Corporation. We will be taking a closer look at programs that support investment, innovation, talent development, and community enhancement, all designed to strengthen Northern Ontario's economy and quality of life. There will be an opportunity for questions. You can please raise your hand or submit your questions in the chat box. We kindly ask that you remain muted until called upon during the Q&A portion of the session. The session is also being recorded, as you heard earlier, and will be available on the Chamber's YouTube channel following the session. We've also included a link to a feedback survey in the chat. We would kindly ask that you just take a couple or a few minutes to provide your thoughts. We are now pleased to welcome the Honourable George Pirie, Minister of Economic Growth and Development, Timmins MPP, and Chair of the NOHFC, along with representatives from the ministry team. Minister Pirie, thank you for being with us today and for your ongoing efforts to champion the people, businesses, and communities that make Northern Ontario strong. It is my pleasure to invite you to deliver your remarks. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be here. And Melanie, thank you very much for that introduction. It is a real pleasure to be in Timmins with you today, despite the inclement weather. Despite the weather, Timmins is always a beautiful place, despite the weather, good or bad. Timmins is a place to be. I think everybody knows how important and how valued I think the Timmins Chamber of Commerce is. It really is invaluable. And critical to the success is the fact that members, they embody the Northern entrepreneurial spirit and drive to succeed that makes up the backbone of our business community right here in Timmins. Today, you will hear from representatives from our ministry's local regional economic development branch to learn about opportunities available to you through the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund Corporation. The varied funding streams you will hear about this morning can help you pursue these ideas, take on existing businesses to the next level, or create an opportunity for new, good-paying jobs. Right here in Timmins, I can highlight a few recent examples in our business community who've already benefited from partnering with the NOHFC. Recently, Tisda Bus Lines received $400,000 in NOHFC funding to help build a 9,600 square foot facility to meet the needs of their growing fleet and better supporting the mining sector. OK Timmins Tires received $400,000 in NOHFC funding to help to expand its facility by 4,000 square feet and purchase heavy-duty hoists and tooling equipment that will be used to service mining industries' vehicles in the region. Both of these small businesses have been able to secure new opportunities, expand in the Timmins area, and strengthen our local economy through applying for NOHFC funding. There are also opportunities to expand your workforce with internships and apprenticeships throughout the fund. Open to eligible small businesses, nonprofits, the public sector, and Indigenous applications, the workforce development programs strengthen our northern workforce and can help you grow your business. After all, during these uncertain economic times, it's never been more important for our government to help empower northern businesses. Through the NOHFC, our government is making strategic investments to help organizations expand into new markets, raise their competitiveness, and create new opportunities. Together, we can pursue homegrown solutions to meet unique northern challenges and fortify a self-reliant economy. There are innovative ideas in this audience right now that could become worthwhile projects by applying for the NOHFC funding. I encourage every participant in today's seminar to consider how their businesses or organizations could grow with the help of the NOHFC and bring more investment to Timmins. I hope you find this session informative and inspiring for your future endeavors. Keep an open mind, listen closely, and embrace your drive to grow and succeed. Thank you again to the members for joining us this morning, and thank you to the ministry staff who are here to share their knowledge on NOHFC opportunities. Let's make Timmins the future of the North. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister Peary, for those remarks and your passion for Northern Ontario and your continued support for the business community. We'll now turn things over to the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund Corporation team, who will provide an overview of available programs and share insights on how organizations can prepare strong applications. Please join me in welcoming Corey Walker and Mike Scott, Northern Development Advisors from the Ministry of Northern Economic Development and Growth.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Minister Peary, for the wonderful remarks as well, and for the continued support for our team and for the programs under the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund. Myself and Mike Scott my colleague, are going to go through different programs that we have through the NOHFC and kind of outline some of the main criteria that chamber members should keep in mind when applying and developing applications. So I'm going to share my screen here. Can you guys see that one? Yes, I'll say. Can I get a comp? Yeah, you guys can see that? Perfect. Okay. Let's go. All right. So one second here. I'll just go through it like this. All right, so who do we serve? For NOHFC, Northern Ontario is defined as the areas north of, including the districts of Parry Sound, Muskoka, and Nipissing, so a little bit further than what people typically think of as North Bay being the gateway to the north. The NOHFC does serve slightly below that area. Our programming is multifaceted, and there's different programs that we do focus on. I'm going to talk to you guys specifically about the People and Talent Program, the Community Enhancement Program, and the Cultural Supports programming that we have. And my colleague Mike is going to talk about our private sector program through the Invest North program. Jumping right into it, People and Talent, that used to be referred to as the internship program. So when you hear in the funding world that the People and Talent Program is helping individuals or organizations hire interns, this is what they're speaking to. So this is the internship program in our 2020 programming, but the 2013, you may have thought of it as the internship program. So within the People and Talent Program, there is two funding streams. There's the Workforce Development Program and the Indigenous Workforce Development Program. So they're very similar. Both are aiming to strengthen and develop Northern Ontario's workforce through business partnerships by offering internships. Who is eligible?
Sorry, Corey, just so that we can read your slide a little better, can you put it on full screen for us? If you just go to the bottom right hand of your screen and where you've got your maximize, minimize, just a little icon next to it should allow us to be able to see your full screen rather than your preview.
Where do I go? Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, where you see the bottom right hand corner of your screen where you've got the minimize icon directly to the left of the, yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
Let's do it. Thank you.
All right. All right, so both businesses and municipalities are eligible, as well as Indigenous communities and not-for-profit organizations located in Northern Ontario, and they have to have been in operation for at least 1 year and have a minimum of one full-time employee. So there are pieces that aren't eligible. So these include things like discretionary benefits, training expenses, computers, equipment, travel, and accommodations. Anyone that's any position that will be displacing a current full-time employee, not eligible. Positions that involve general manual labor that require minimal training, not also eligible. Anything that's clerical, they're not looking to fund administrative type positions in this program. And as well that positions that primarily involve retail and general sales. So it's not really, it's designed more to bring in someone that's going to have a skill set that's going to be able to be employed within that organization or a partner organization afterwards. So the workforce development stream, which is what this program is, covers salaries, wages, and employer portions of MERCs, so mandatory employment related costs, for a limited term partnership, internship, portion of 52 weeks at minimum 35 hours per week. For Indigenous candidates, I'll jump to that bottom point. This is someone that identifies as an Indigenous person, including First Nation, Métis, or Inuit. In terms of eligibility, we're looking to look for new candidates that are new entrants into the workforce or transitioning to a new career. There's not like a minimum, an age necessarily requirement. They have not participated in an NOHFC internship previously. So they've gone from one to the other. That's not eligible. They have to be at least 18 years old and reside and be legally entitled to work in Canada. So here's where the funding breakdown comes from. You'll see for 3 of the 4 funding streams, the maximum is $35,000 per year. But for the Indigenous workforce development funding, which is for private sector only, up to 75% of salary to a maximum of $52,500 can be covered, which is quite generous. The public sector funding for both Indigenous and non-Indigenous positions are 90% salary up to $35,000 a year. And for the businesses, specifically private sector, it's 50% up to $35,000. So we're going to move more into our larger scale community enhancement funding now. And these are for programs designed to help build a strong and resilient northern community through infrastructure investment, upgrades in repairing existing assets, and to improve community quality of life. So this is often community infrastructure projects. So the applicant stream, there's 3 essentially applicant streams, and we'll go into it. And so everything for this program is public sector. So that's not-for-profit organizations, municipalities, Indigenous communities, and LSBs in Northern Ontario. This slide will explain the funding percentages a lot clearer than the previous. So the community where the organization is applying out of, if they're below 1,500 people population, they are eligible for $200,000 at a cost share of 90%. Between 1,500 to 30,000, the cost share is 75% up to 500,000. So that might be an organization from Iroquois Falls or Cochrane. And for populations over 30,000, which would be Timmins, maximum percentage of eligible cost is going to be 50% upwards to $2 million. So that'd be a $4 million project. But keep in mind, you can always move up in this scale. So if you are, for example, from Iroquois Falls or Matheson, and you're falling into one of these other smaller rural enhancement categories, if you have a very large project, you can move up, but you will only have a maximum eligible cost share of 50%. So you aren't tied to this, but City of Timmins applicants will be in the final category here on the right. So what is eligible? So for this project, or this program, we're looking at incremental improvements, repairs, and renovations to improve and extend the useful life of capital assets, including social and recreational facilities, municipal assets, and community halls that contribute to a healthy and vibrant community. So when you're drafting an application to this program, the healthy and vibrant community component is very important, because NOHFC looks for this. How is this going to benefit not just the organization, but the community surrounding it? So Roy Nicholson Park is it's an example from last year. There was, many on this call have probably seen the upgrades to this park, streetscaping, lightscaping. It looks a lot better, and this has been funded through the community enhancement program. So what is not eligible? This program is not for core infrastructure projects from municipal services, including roads, bridges, water, and sewer. Administrative space or office buildings are not part of this program. Residential projects, operating expenses, including any ongoing maintenance. Standalone equipment or furniture purchases always are not eligible. And standalone studies, there was a time that standalone studies were eligible during the 2013 mandate, but no longer, unfortunately. So here's the application process. Complete a stage 1 application at NOHFC.ca. NOHFC screens for eligibility. If the project is eligible, meets the basic criteria, it'll be moved on to stage 2. The applicant will be encouraged to continue on with the stage 2 process. Stage 2 applications are evaluated and they're recommended to the NOHFC board for a decision. And the NOHFC board typically meets 4 times a year, roughly. Our role in our branch is to help develop projects and assist with the stage 1 and the stage 2 application. So myself and Mike are always here to help provide recommendations and to review the actual documents with you to make sure everything is neat and tidy and on point and exactly what you're trying to say, and just make sure that you're hitting the key points that NOHFC is going to want to see, which is largely that healthy and vibrant community piece. We also, yeah, I think that's about it, guys. We will also explain and go over the reporting requirements with you and the final payment process if accepted to the program. So are you ready to apply? These are some of the documents you're going to want to start thinking about before applying and during the application process. So do you have your articles of incorporation and letters patent available? You have a board resolution. So a board resolution will be requested, a bylaw indicating commitment to the project, minimum of 10%, and a commitment to cover cost overruns. So, the next time your board is meeting, have an agenda item that a board resolution is something that NOHFC is going to want. Quotes and estimates for project costs. You'll need 3 for anything that's over $30,300. Recent third-party financial statements, audited financials, proof of ownership or proof of lease, proof of funding commitments from other organizations, if applicable. Of course, so that's actually an important one. Projects cannot be recommended to the board if confirmation of funding from other funders is not in place. So NOHFC does like to see that to make sure that the dollars leveraged are something that was described in the application, and that it gives NOHFC a lot more confidence that the project is a strong one. Correspondence from other organizations that decline funding, that's also important. If the Trillium Fund has declined the project for whatever reason, NOHFC does want to know that. That doesn't necessarily mean a project won't be funded at all, though. And community organizational plans relevant to a project, also important. It makes it have more substance when there is plans tied directly to the project that's it's being applied for. So community events is a smaller program that's also available through the NOHFC suite of programming. And it's designed to help showcase Northern Ontario culture, geography, and talent through event partnerships. There's been a lot of events that happen in the city of Timmins that have been partly funded through this program that you may or may not know of. So supporting organizations that host events that increase community profile and promote economic development in Northern Ontario. So municipalities, Indigenous communities, and not-for-profit organizations, as well as LSPs, are eligible for this program. What is eligible? So it's new and recurring in-person or virtual community-based and tourism events that attract tourists. So the tourism component will always be something that NOHFC takes seriously, and there will be requirements to show past tourism numbers and future when applying to this program typically. Annual and recurring events that include new programming activities and are anticipated to improve the quality and or sustainability of the event is also eligible. So as mentioned, new and recurring in-person or virtual community-based and tourism events that attract tourists, and annual and reoccurring events that are showcasing new programming activities are what this program is looking at. So what will be evaluated in this is there going to be increased attendance, increased tourism expenditures? Will the profile and quality of the event be raised? Promoting sustainability of future events is also important, and other enhancements as deemed eligible at NOHFC. So what is not eligible? Ongoing operational costs for an event is not, for an organization is not eligible. Anything to do with alcohol and awarding gifts, typically not eligible. Annual or general business meetings, AGMs, not eligible. Private sector events and projects led by the federal provincial government. So yeah, unfortunately, any kind of private sector event is not eligible for this. It has to be typically from a nonprofit organization applying. Municipalities often as well. Indigenous communities. Projects that do not generate economic benefit to Northern Ontario are not going to be eligible, and anything that's already occurred. So this is a very important point to build off of that. Applications be submitted within a minimum of 16 weeks prior to the event. So if we have events coming up in the spring and the summer, those applications should be coming in soon, because 4 months is a large amount of time between application and an event. And if you're within that, NOHFC will not look at it. There needs to be some time to properly vet and evaluate the project, sorry. So funding is in the form of a grant, a conditional contribution, up to 30% of eligible costs to a maximum of 15,000. Applications will not be considered for past events. Very important. Sometimes we'll have questions about that. Can funding be contributed to something that's already happened? The answer is no. The applicant may be required to reimburse if assets financed by NOHFC are sold within the first 3 years. Invest North. Sorry, that last point, I don't think that should have been part of the presentation. That's for our private sector funding, which Mike will go over. But I'm going to pass over to Mike. Invest North Grow is our private sector programming. The GROW program used to be referred to as the business expansion, is a very popular program, one to Minister Peary was speaking to this morning. And I'll pass over to you, Mike. See if I can stop sharing here. If you have questions about what I spoke about, we can go over that after as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Corey. Yeah, so like you said, my name is Mike Scott, and I'll be taking you through some of the private sector funding programs. So these Invest North programs are specifically for for-profit businesses. I'll also take you through some useful tips and general information about the NOHFC process, and then we'll do a test drive of the NOHFC application portal, and I'll walk you through the process there. So let's get started. The Invest North investment stream is designed to assist with the launch of a new business, the growth of an expansion of an existing business, or the location of a new business in Northern Ontario. Just for the sake of the audience here, I'm going to focus primarily on the Invest North growth stream. However, if there's interest at the end, we can talk about the other programs like Locate and Launch for new businesses. So in terms of the Invest North Grow program, and this kind of applies to all streams, the program does look to support productivity, innovation, business competitiveness, revenue growth, export capacity development, and as always, job creation and retention. So these are sort of the key priorities that, that NOHFC is looking at when funding private sector businesses. Looking at who is eligible, it could be a business that's starting up or expanding, or looking to locate business in Northern Ontario, or to significantly expand business into Northern Ontario. So we heard Minister Peary this morning talking about OK Tire receiving funding through this program to undergo an expansion. So here we have some photos that we got a couple weeks ago, just after they moved into their new addition. And so the project is going great. If you have a chance to drive by, have a look. It's coming along. Looking at what types of costs are eligible for the growth stream, And this actually also applies to the other streams as well. Eligible cost categories include capital construction, so erecting, say, a new facility or a new shop. Leasehold improvements, so if you're looking to renovate a leased space. Newer used equipment, including capital leases. Any land servicing costs if your new location, let's say, is not in a serviced area of town. Information and communication technologies, including basically anything hardware, software, you name it. And then marketing and for new products is limited to 20% of the total costs, and or 75,000. And then same with training, it's capped at 20% of the total project costs. So if there is new, say, new types of services that you're looking to offer, but you need to train your team, you can kind of build that in as part of the project as well. What is not eligible? So this is, again, applies to all funding streams, not just GROW, but all private sector funding streams, I should say. So ineligible projects would be those that are primarily retail and consumer service businesses that are primarily earning their revenue by providing products and services directly to individuals. So that's not to say that you can't have some retail aspect of your business, but the primary, so the majority of your revenue needs to come from business to business sales. And so that's one of the key criteria. Accommodation and food service businesses are not eligible. In terms of equipment, one of the key limitations is rolling stock. So vehicles, trucks, boats and motors, basically anything that could be used as a personal vehicle is usually not eligible. However, if it's something that's very, very specialized and has a very unique use case, being on wheels does not mean it's automatically ineligible. It just needs to be identified and considered on a case-by-case basis. Project management costs, consulting costs, and admin costs are not eligible. Like most grant programs, cost of inventory or acquisitions or buyouts and land acquisition is not eligible. Okay, so here's how the funding streams work. So there's three options that you can choose from. The first is the conditional contribution or grant only. So that consists of up to 20% of your eligible costs, up to a maximum of 400,000. And so you can do the math here. If you were looking to maximize this and hit this $400,000 maximum, then you would need a project of approximately $2 million or more in total eligible costs to hit that maximum. But you don't necessarily have to have a project of that size. Of course, you can have a project of any size. That's just the most that they will contribute. And then up to, for the second option, you have kind of a hybrid of the original conditional contribution or grant, plus an additional 30% of eligible costs up to a max of 600,000 structured as a loan. So this would bring you to a total of 50% of costs up to a maximum of $1 million, but split between a grant and a loan. So hopefully that's not too confusing. And then the last option, which you don't see too often, but that's just a term loan of 50% of eligible costs up to a maximum of $1 million. And I'll talk a little bit more about the loans and the terms in a little more detail in a couple slides. So just some general information about the GROW stream and the application process. So it is a two-stage process, and unlike the public sector programs where we provide the sort of due diligence and the evaluation, for private sector programs, it's provided by a third party, which is Deloitte LLP. So they're a third-party accountant that does the due diligence, but we support clients up to that point and then after approval as well. So stage one applications are the entry point, and they're used to evaluate the potential eligibility of your project. If deemed potentially eligible, then you'll be invited to provide a stage two application in one of the next two upcoming intake rounds. I actually didn't include the dates, but they're evaluated in competitive rounds, and there's 4 quarterly deadline dates. Yeah, generally at even times throughout the year, you'll have one of these deadline dates. So when you get your stage 1 submitted and you receive word that you're eligible to apply for stage 2, they'll give you the next 2 deadlines that are upcoming, and you have the option to apply to whichever of those is best for you. In terms of how the funding works,
so sorry to interrupt. Are you meant to be sharing slides? Because we can't see anything.
Is that true?
No, we can see it. Might
Really?
be something on your end. Yeah. Can everybody else see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay.
Okay, it's just me. My apologies.
Okay, sorry, Amy. So yeah, you should be seeing how NOHFC funding works. So in order to accept the funding, you will have to enter into a legal agreement with the NOHFC if approved. You'll notice that the language that NOHFC uses is conditional contributions, but this is commonly what we refer to as grants, given on a reimbursement basis after all expenses have been fully paid. So you will need to gather your receipts and your invoices and submit them as a request for reimbursement or a claim. And then the eligible expenses, those can be reimbursed back to the application date, which is the date that your stage 1 application was submitted. So if you're wondering, when can I start making purchases towards my project that will ultimately be reimbursed if I'm approved, that day is the day that you submitted your stage 1. Okay, so that's really important. Anything that's been purchased or invoiced prior to that stage 1 date will not be eligible for reimbursement. And then Corey touched on this as well. Projects can't move forward for board consideration without confirmation of full financing. So when we look at, say, the growth stream and there's 20% of eligible costs covered, the other 80% need to be accounted for in full. And because NOHFC likes to be sort of the last in funder and uses sort of those, like Corey was saying, the funds leveraged from other sources as a way to evaluate the strength of the application. So it's good to have all those in ahead of time. And then just looking at a few more general things, projects should always be supported by quotes in a competitive procurement process on any expenses exceeding 30,300. So quotes are important as well for private sector, but the public sector does have to show more of like the value for money aspect of it. In terms of insurance, so there's valid insurance certificates required as part of the funding as well. So you have to demonstrate a minimum of 2 million in commercial general liability on a per occurrence basis, and the funded projects have to like all your insurance certificates have to be in before your first claim is submitted. To touch on loans a little bit, so the interest rates for the loans are usually set using the BMO base prime rate for that month, and then it's sort of assessed by the financial due diligence team at Deloitte for the overall risk of the project, and then additional points are added if needed. And then most loans have a 5-year repayment term. So that's just a little bit of detail on the financing side of it. So in terms of writing a strong proposal, we see obviously a lot of different proposals of all different sizes, but strong proposals kind of have some similarities across them. So one thing is really to tell your story, to explain what this investment means for your organization. How will it, fill long-standing gaps or allow you to meet the community's needs? Whatever it is, make sure that the story is very compelling. And then what does it mean for the broader community, for the economy? Government funders are always looking to identify the impacts and the outcomes that are really going to come from these projects. So as much as you can communicate that, that's great. It's really important to speak with an advisor about your project and your application. It just gives us an opportunity to work with you and to talk through some of the finer points. And yeah, I think in the long run, it just makes the applications generally stronger because they've had more oversight and more guidance along the way. And then make sure you have your documents in order, much like the public sector that Corey was talking about. I'll go over some of those key documents that you need to complete a grow stream application. So some of those things, very similar, your articles of incorporation and any amendments, shareholder registry, a copy of lease or ownership, or even a tax bill if it's, say, you're doing some type of renovation to a building or something. And then, like we said, the quotes, the invoices, proof of payment. You'll need to show your corporate bank account and bank statements, proof of additional funding. So if you're, committing a certain portion of the funding, which you'll just have to demonstrate that those funds are in place. And then stuff about job creation. So what are you projecting in terms of job creation? And that's important too. Is I just want to quickly touch on that. Is job creation is a key component, but make sure that you're accurate with your job creation estimates, because ultimately you will have to kind of hold true to those. So make sure that they're not artificially inflated and that you actually do intend to hire and maintain those new jobs. And then the financials for the past 3 to 5 years. So generally, depending on how long the business has been operating, as much financial history as you can provide. And then for grow specifically, you will need to provide projected financial statements. And if you haven't done these before, I know that the folks at the Business Enterprise Center do support clients with preparing these types of financial statements, forward-looking statements. So if you do need some help with that, you can connect with Al Paquette at the Business Enterprise Center. In terms of how to apply, so like I said, discussing it with a Northern Development Advisor early and often is usually a really good best practice. The application process is always open, so you can always submit a stage 1 application through NOHFC.ca. It's important to note, though, that is the only way to formally submit an application is through that portal. So now I will take you on a little walkthrough of the application portal. But first, I'm just going to share screen because we're going to do it live. So you should now see the landing page for the NOHFC's website.
We do.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to go to programs. And for the sake of the example, I'm going to focus on grow, but there are a few other programs here. You can see, like, you can select public or private sector to kind of narrow it down. And then for grow, we're looking for this little seedling here. And so it gives us all the program breakdown that I just gave you, some of the competitive round details and all that. But what we want to do is apply for the program now. And that'll take us here to the portal login page. So if you request advice, that'll take you to us to connect with an NDA or an advisor, but you want to go to login, register, and then My Ontario account. So here we're just at the My Service Ontario login screen. So if you have any other My Service Ontario uses, you might already have one of these accounts. If so, it won't let you create an account. It'll tell you, and then you can use the forgot password if you don't remember your password. There's a few different options. If you, assuming you don't have an account, you can create one. So you just enter your email, your password, and create an account. It's as simple as that. And then they'll send you a code by email that you'll enter in, and that'll get you access to the portal. Since I already have an account, I'm going to go here and just log in. Another option, if you feel more comfortable doing it this way, though it might actually take longer than the normal way, but you can use a sign-in partner. So a lot of government websites will use this. So this will allow you to log in through your bank if you'd like to do it that way. Whoops. So one thing to note, and I'll kind of touch on this later because this is an important point, the session that you're in on the portal will time out every 15 minutes if you're inactive. So just make sure to save often or work offline, and I'll touch on that a little bit later. It's all a matter of personal preference. I'm just trying to get the code now to get in. And it does require this two-factor authentication every time. So that's why if it signs you out, it does require you to authenticate to get back in. Bear with me one sec. There we go. Okay, so there we go. We're in. So we can go to the dashboard. And here's where we can see any applications that we have ongoing, any projects that have been approved, and then anything that's been shared with you where you're a collaborator. So if you're starting a new application, you would just click here, and then you would select from the various streams. In our case, we want to select the Grow stream and then apply now. Then we can name our project. It doesn't have to be overly creative. It could be, ABC business expansion. Yes, it's in Northern Ontario, and create. And so now this, creates the project. Now it'll show up on your dashboard. It will be assigned a project number. And now you can view the collaborators. Whoops, I should save first. There we go. This is important too. If you're working with myself or Corey, this is an opportunity to put in who your advisor was that you're working with. But you can also go here and add a collaborator to your project. So you can just enter in, my email. You can select, the privileges that you want me to have, and then you can add me. And that way I can go in and I can review your progress on the application, and I can give you feedback without you having to download a copy of it or any of that stuff. So just makes it easier for us to collaborate. And if you are working with other partners or other consultants, you can also include them there as well. For now, I'll go back. So this is the applicant or the application dashboard. So you can kind of see your progress in each of the sections. You can download a blank application if you want. But that brings me to my next point. Like I was saying, this portal times out every 15 minutes that you're inactive. So sometimes if you're pulled away or whatever, you may lose progress if you haven't saved your work. So what I like to do for the drafting process, or at least for the initial stages, is to take a blank application in Word and start kind of working offline on it. It's totally up to you. But yeah, this is the portal. So going back to the main page, so now you can see I've got these two applications in progress. So I think that's just about it. I won't go too much more into the portal, but this is, like I said, the main way to submit applications. So I'm just going to pop back over to my slides. Okay. So we kind of walked through the portal. You can view collaborators. You can add whichever advisor you've been working with or any other collaborators. Consider asking for a Word version if you're interested in just working on a draft offline. And then once you're ready and it's final and you're ready to submit, then you can just copy and paste into the portal. So yeah, just walking through quickly again, you've got the private sector, public sector. These are the three main sort of programs that you may be looking for that we talked about today: grow, community enhancement, and workforce development. Once you've created an account, it's pretty straightforward from there. You start a new application and away you go. Always make sure if you can remember to put your advisor here as well. It just helps to kind of identify who you've been working with, and that way when the project does come through to NOHFC, they assign it directly to us. So a couple of key takeaways while we wrap up here and get to questions. Making sure that those documents, regardless of the program that you're applying to, making sure those supporting documents are in order early and kind of all ready to go, just makes the process that much easier and limits the sort of back and forth. And then connecting with one of us for guidance early is really crucial as well. And submitting a draft prior to the submission deadline is always good. Getting that review, getting feedback rather than just putting in an application. It just gives that extra layer of feedback. And then, as we said, all project financing needs to be in place prior to the submission of a full application. So as Corey said, we're here in Timmins. We're located in community to help you with any of your projects. So here's our direct contact information. If there's any questions or you have a project in mind, we're happy to meet with you. All right, so that takes us to the end. If there's any questions.
Hey, thank you so much, Mike and Corey, for that presentation. I don't see everybody on the screen, but if you want to speak up, if you have a question, or maybe raise your hand or put it in the chat, we'll keep an eye out. Oh, I see a question from Reza. Go ahead.
Hi, thank you so much for the presentation. That was amazing. So the question I have is, I have a CPR and first aid company in Vaughan, Ontario, and I'm thinking to expand into Northern Ontario and specifically Timmins. So am I eligible? Is this project eligible for the Invest North stream?
I would say, if you're looking to expand into Northern Ontario, there's the Grow stream, and then there's also the Locate stream, which I didn't talk about because the audience is probably going to be more established businesses in Timmins, but we did kind of anticipate that there may be some out-of-town businesses as well. So this is good. So this program is specifically for businesses that are looking to expand into Northern Ontario or relocate their business operations to Northern Ontario. So I would recommend, scheduling a meeting with either myself or Corey, because this program is a larger maximum and does require you to have a consultation with an advisor first to discuss eligibility in more detail. So I'm happy to connect with you offline, Reza, to chat about this.
Thank you so much indeed.
Hi, Mike, just something to add there. Typically, the business is required to contribute a minimum of 2 million towards the project themselves. So Locate may not be at that level for you, Reza. I don't know how large the business is.
Yeah.
Typically as well, the Grow program, which is probably something you'd be more in line with. Consumer services aren't a typical eligible business. We can take this offline. I want to learn more about the project, but I just want to manage your expectations that typically that's not something that NOHFC does fund, but we can have a chat, go through your options for sure, and other funding programs that are out there as well.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sure.
Great. Thanks. Any other questions online?
I think Heather's been
Typing
really,
in the chat.
yeah, she's been commanding the chat here. This is good.
Maybe I have a question, Mike and Corey, if just from your perspective and what you've seen through the projects come through, what sectors or type of projects are driving the most momentum across Northern Ontario at the moment? Or is there any? That's
I can take this one for a bit, Mike.
Yeah, go ahead.
Typically, in my experience here in Timmins, it's the mining supply and service sector. You know, companies that are supplying the Timmins mining camp are really getting a lot of support as well. You know, manufacturing across Northern Ontario is something that's also heavily supported. Traditionally, you know, potentially forestry projects as well. But yeah, anything with like that real strong mining, like, you know, you look at OK Tire, like that's a mining supply and service project. You know, NOHFC has done plenty of presentations at the bucket shop now. So that's what's really driving it. And businesses that have really significant job creation. We didn't really highlight that too much in this presentation, but the job creation component is huge for NOHFC and high paying jobs that are going to be here, permanent jobs. So that's why it typically does lend to those industries that can offer that.
Thank you. Before we wrap up, I'm looking to see if there's any, oh, Amy has a comment. Would the Grow Fund be the best option for the creation of a brand new, I can't see the rest of the
manufacturing plant in Northern Ontario?
Okay, manufacturing plant in Northern Ontario. Not sure, Corey or Mikey, if you can see that.
Sure, yeah, I see that question. So we have another program, the Launch program, which is what's essentially used for developing, thanks Mike, developing a new business. So you can see it is a conditional contribution, which is a grant up to 50% of total eligible costs. And so that'd be a $400,000 project for a $200,000 cost share from NOHFC. That would be the type of program you're looking at. And we're kind of anticipating this question because we're talking a lot about business expansion in this, but a lot of business owners are also potentially going to start another business or a new business or their first business. So yeah, this program is available and we're happy to go through it in more detail with a one-on-one call, but there is definitely a business development program known as the Launch program.
Yeah, just a couple of qualifiers to that. Like it says here, like the typically new business is considered 6 months or less into their revenue generating activities. So if you're wondering, you know, when am I considered, you know, eligible for launch versus grow? And then in terms of launch, it does have to, if you do have an existing business, it does have to be completely separate from any existing business activity. So I wouldn't be able to be like complementary or in any way to an existing business.
Any further questions? Last call for some questions online. See any hands up here? Well, obviously you guys did a great job at being inclusive and comprehensive of the presentation. So thank you so very much. Merci beaucoup to the Minister Peary. Thank you for being with us today, to the NOHFC team and everyone who joined us online on this snowy Friday. We appreciate the insights and information shared this morning, and we encourage our members to connect directly with the NOHFC team to discuss their projects and ideas. Now you know who Mike and Corey are. And the Chamber looks forward to continuing to support our members in accessing opportunities that strengthen Northern Ontario's economy and communities. The Chamber is proud to play a role in connecting our members with programs that help create jobs, build capacity, and enhance the vibrancy of our region. We hope you leave with a better understanding of how the programs can help move your project forward. And the portal seems very user-friendly, so that's great. Please don't hesitate to reach out to the Chamber if we can help make those connections or answer follow-up questions. As a reminder, if you could complete the survey we've added to the chat box, your feedback would be greatly appreciated. And we also hope that you can join us for our next Leader Series that's happening on December 3rd featuring Matagami First Nation Chief Jennifer Constant, who will share insights on opportunities for collaboration, leadership, and shared prosperity in our region. The details and tickets are available on the Chamber website. So thank you again, everyone, for taking part in today's conversation. Merci beaucoup. Have a great rest of your day and enjoy your weekend. Merci.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.